Chapter 1 Capture Xiao Wu at the beginning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Douluo Continent, just outside the Star Do Great Forest, in the Heaven Do Empire, the forest was quiet, save for the occasional spirit beast roaming around. Suddenly, a golden light burst forth, taking the shape of a radiant, golden figure. The spirit beast scattered in fear. As the light faded, it revealed a handsome young boy, delicate features framing his face. He looked to be about 8 years old. Standing around 5'3", he stood frozen, eyes unfocused, some bolder spirit. Beasts crept closer, only to be incinerated by an unseen force as they approached. Those who hadn't dared to attack turned tail and fled. Sounds and images flooded his mind. Host is under protection, any attack will be nullified. Congratulations, Xiao De, on arriving in the Douluo Continent. Your body has been reshaped. You are 8 years old, possess the space capture spirit, and are born with full soul power, exceptional talent, robust physique, capture to your heart's content. Details can be found on the spirit capture panel. Good luck and goodbye. After a moment, Xiao De came to terms with reality. He was a college student who had died and been transported to the world of Douluo Continent. He seemed to have had a system, but it was gone now. Only the spirit capture panel remained in his mind. Spirit capture panel Host, Xiao De, spirit, space capture, soul power, level 10. Soul rings, none. Soul bones, none. Captures, none. Description. Space capture spirit. Every 10 levels of soul power allows you to capture a woman. The lifespan of your soul rings is the combined lifespan of all the soul rings possessed by those you've captured. Each person captured boosts your spirit, talent, soul power, mental strength, physique, and other attributes. The spirit capture space includes the treasure appraisal ability, allowing you to detect item information. Capture. I like the sound of that. Xiao De was easygoing. Having accepted his situation, he was ready to settle in and figure out how to survive in the dog-eat-dog world of Douluo Continent. Survival meant acquiring the power to protect himself, and how did one do that? By cultivating his spirit, increasing his soul power, and becoming stronger. Snapping back to reality, Xiao De surveyed his surroundings. No immediate threats, and with a 24-hour protection period, he didn't need to worry just yet. Damn, I've never looked this good. Xiao De found a pool and stared at his reflection, almost moved to tears by his own beauty. Just need to grow a little taller. I'm only 8, but I'll definitely hit a growth spurt. Otherwise, this face will be wasted. As Xiao De admired his reflection, a cute little girl in pink wandered out. What's a kid like that doing alone in spirit beast territory? Could she be a spirit beast in human form? A little girl, a spirit beast in disguise. Could it be Xiao Wu? The thought struck Xiao De, and the more he looked, the more she matched the novel's description. Is that Xiao Wu? Time to find out. Xiao De decided to test his spirit capture ability. He'd reached level 10, so he could give it a shot. Xiao Wu. Huh? Xiao De called out, and Xiao Wu responded without thinking. Instantly, she vanished. In the spirit capture space, a small island, only a few dozen square feet, sat in the middle of an endless ocean. Aside from the grass, a single, towering coconut tree stood on the island, laden with coconuts. Suddenly, a small figure materialized on the island. Xiao Wu, panic washed over her as she looked around in confusion. Xiao De watched the changes in the spirit capture space. Success. It really is Xiao Wu. The spirit capture ability triggered once the required soul power level was reached, but there was one condition. Xiao De had to call out the person's name, and if they responded, they'd be pulled into the spirit capture space. Soul power up by 1 level, and everything else got a boost, too. A white soul ring, because Xiao Wu hasn't formed one yet. Xiao De checked his stats. He had a white soul ring, and his soul power was now level 11. The ring was white because Xiao Wu hadn't formed a proper one. Once she did, Xiao De's ring would turn yellow. As Xiao Wu's rings grew, so would his, reflecting the combined age of all her soul rings. This was incredible. The potential for growth was limitless. And it wasn't just the rings. As Xiao Wu developed, Chowda's own soul power, physique, and mental strength would increase. Even without training, his strength would continue to improve. Awesome! I love this cheat. So, in the future, I can just kick back with a beautiful woman and get stronger while doing nothing. Every 10 levels lets me capture one person. 100 is a long way off, but 90 is doable. That's just 9 women. Xiao Wu's the first. Who's next? Douluo Continent has so many beautiful female characters. Little Cat Zhu Zhuqing, Tsundra Ning Rongrong, Angel Qianren Xue, Fiery Fire Dance, Shui Binger, Ah Yin, Silver Dragon King Gu Yuna, Snow Emperor, Ice Emperor, Bai Ji, Zi Ji, Xiao Bai, Yi Lingling, Shui Yuer, Bibi Dong, Bo Saishi. Too many. 9 slots aren't enough. Am I greedy? Lustful? A scumbag? Wrong. I just want to give them a home. Okay, I'm mostly just after their bodies. I'm in Douluo Continent now, with this kind of spirit. If I don't give them a home, what am I even doing here? If I can't have what I want in this life, why bother with reincarnation? What's the point of even being reborn? I've made up my mind. I, Chowda, will give them a home where they can be sexually fulfilled. Chowda's fighting spirit soared. He would thrive in the world of Douluo Continent, live life to the fullest, and not hold back. After admiring his ambition, he remembered Xiao Wu, still trapped in the spirit capture space. Bound by the ability, Chowda could summon her at any time and return her just as easily. She was now 100% loyal and trustworthy, incapable of falling for anyone but him. Even if she didn't like Chowda, she couldn't like anyone else. He was her only option, so overbearing. Chowda loved it. He summoned Xiao Wu from the spirit capture space, and she blinked in confusion. Xiao Wu. Who are you? How do you know my name? I'm Chowda. You can call me Brother Chow, or Brother Da. I know you're a spirit beast, but don't worry. I'm here to help. How do you know that? It's strange. You feel so familiar, like family, but I don't recognize you. Because of the bond forged by the spirit capture space, Xiao Wu trusted Chowda implicitly, despite not knowing him. Chapter 2 Soul Ring Soul Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wow, Brother Chow, you're amazing. You knew I was a soul beast, and you even know my name. Your martial soul must be super special. Chowda had explained to Xiao Wu that his martial soul was a unique dimension, and that once his soul power reached level 10, he could bind a woman to it. He'd also used it to figure out her name and that she was a soul beast. Xiao Wu totally bought it. Not just because she trusted Chowda completely after the martial soul binding, but also because she'd been inside that space and felt it for herself. Chowda's story was a mix of truth and lies, and the part about the martial soul's space-capturing ability made it impossible for Xiao Wu to doubt. Since Xiao Wu was now permanently bound to the martial soul capture space, Chowda wasn't worried about any negative consequences from telling her about it. She wouldn't betray him. Listen to how naturally she calls him Brother Chow now. Xiao Wu, I'll protect you. Yeah. And I'll protect you too, Brother Chow. Only an hour had passed, and they were already as close as siblings. The martial soul capture space really worked wonders. Xiao Wu, now that you're bound to my martial soul space, your spirit beast aura is completely masked. Even a tidal Douluo couldn't detect it. You can live in a human city with me without worrying. Thanks, Brother Chow. I was so worried about being discovered by a human tidal Douluo. Now I don't have to be. After we transform, we need a human environment to level up and get stronger. So, Xiao Wu, after you transform, will your spirit power still be at level 10? No, it'll only be level 9. It took me so long to reach level 10 because I wasn't around humans to train. The higher I go, the slower I get stronger. I have to be around humans, that's why I risked leaving the Star Do Forest. I get it. Can you create your first soul ring now? I should be able to. I'll try now. When a soul beast transforms into a human and starts training again, unlike human soul masters, they don't need to hunt soul beasts for their first 6 soul rings. They can create them directly. Xiao Wu sat down, crossed her legs, and focused on forming her first soul ring. 10 minutes later, a yellow soul ring appeared around her. My first soul ring is only a little over 700 years, it can't reach 1,000, Xiao Wu said happily. That's way better than I expected. She knew how old her mother's first soul ring was, and hers was hundreds of years older, which was probably better than 99% of soul masters, over 700 years. Xiao De was surprised. He couldn't remember the exact age of Xiao Wu's first soul ring from the original story, but it definitely wasn't this high. He wondered if Xiao Wu being bound to his martial soul capture space had caused her first soul ring to be so much older than it was supposed to be. A soul ring appeared around Xiao De as well. The original white ring was now yellow, and it was the same age as Xiao Wu's, over 700 years. Xiao Wu, what's your first soul skill? Xiao De wanted to see if anything had changed. Brother Qiao, let's spar. Okay. They started fighting, throwing punches and kicks. After a few minutes, a yellow soul ring flashed on Xiao Wu's body. She used her first soul skill, jumping up and sweeping her leg towards Xiao De. First soul skill, waist bow, just like in the original story. It seemed that Xiao Wu's first 6 soul rings and soul skills would be the same. Xiao De blocked the waist bow. Brother Qiao is so strong, my waist bow can't beat you. Xiao Wu stopped. Waist bow is a great technique. But I'm pretty strong myself, and my soul power is at level 13, so I'm naturally stronger than you. You're already level 13. My spirit power is at level 10 now, 3 levels behind you, but I'll catch up soon. If you want to catch up, you'll have to work hard. I will catch up. After Xiao Wu created her first soul ring, Xiao De's soul ring leveled up, increasing his spirit power by 2 levels. Brother Qiao, what's your first soul skill? Why didn't you use it? I didn't want to hurt you. Okay, here's my first soul skill, poke punch. The soul ring on Xiao De's body didn't even have time to flash before the soul skill was activated. He could use it instantly. When he punched, a strong gust of wind blew. Broken, the poke punch didn't rely on brute force. Instead, it compressed the space around his fist at high speed, creating a powerful blast. So strong, Xiao Wu knew her waist bow couldn't do that. You really are my brother. Xiao De blew on his fist and said proudly, I have to be strong to take care of you. You're the best. Xiao Wu ran over and hugged Xiao De. Xiao Wu was about 6 years old, almost 2 years younger than Xiao De, and she only came up to his chest. Xiao Wu, we should leave here. Xiao De took Xiao Wu's hand. Okay. Xiao Wu turned and looked back at the Star Do Forest, which was her home. She was worried about leaving and didn't know if she'd ever return. When she came back to her senses, Xiao Wu looked up at Xiao De and smiled, thinking, I'm so lucky I met Brother Qiao. Are you tired? Do you want me to carry you? Xiao De had noticed her gaze. Xiao Wu wanted to say, I'm not tired, but instead, she said, yeah, I'm a little tired. Can you carry me on your back? Xiao De was thrilled. He squatted down and put Xiao Wu on his back. It felt so good to be on Brother Qiao's back, like being on her mother's back. Xiao Wu snuggled close to Xiao De, enjoying it. It's so good to have you, brother. Silly girl, don't be so formal with me. Even though he knew it was the martial soul's space capturing ability, Xiao De enjoyed Xiao Wu's closeness and dependence. Without it, he might not have had a chance. Thanks to the martial soul capture space, Xiao De had a little future wife. Now he could start building their relationship from a young age and raise her slowly. Soon, Xiao Wu fell asleep on Xiao De's back. Xiao De didn't wake her, and continued walking, carrying her along the path. After 3 hours, he saw a village. He decided to go in to find out where he was and make a plan. Excuse me, ma'am, what village is this, and what's the name of the nearest city? My sister and I got lost. Lost? You have to be careful. This is Holy Soul Village, and the nearest city is Nodding City. Where did you come from, and how did you get lost? What? Holy Soul Village. How did he end up here? Xiao De was shocked. Hey, who are you? A little boy appeared nearby, sounding like a grown-up. Tang San, they're lost and just asked for directions. The woman replied to the little boy, Holy Soul Village. Tang San. Wow, what a coincidence. Lost? Tang San walked over, looking at Xiao De and the sleeping Xiao Wu on his back. He had a hidden weapon in his hand. You're not a kidnapper, are you? Put that little girl down, a kidnapper. What a look. He was handsome. How could he be a kidnapper? Xiao De was speechless. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Taking on Tang San. Your name's Tang San. Alright, you too, don't worry about it, Xiao De glared at Tang San. Hold on, put the girl down. I just want to ask her if she knows you. If you're not a kidnapper, do as I say. Tang San blocked Xiao De's path. He didn't trust him, Xiao De was puzzled. He thought Tang San was supposed to be calm, not one to stir up trouble. This wasn't going according to plan, Tang San's actions weren't matching the script, *. Does he think he can push me around, *. Don't think I won't rough you up just 'cause you're younger. Back off, Xiao De was afraid of Tang Hao. They were in Holy Soul Village. If he hurt the kid, the old man would definitely come after him. If you don't put her down, you're a kidnapper. I'm going to get someone. Tang San was convinced Xiao De was up to no good. Usually, he wouldn't get involved, but seeing Xiao Wu on Xiao De's back, he felt compelled to protect her. In his mind, Xiao De was a bad guy, and he needed to rescue Xiao Wu. Xiao De was furious, ready to beat Tang San into the next century. An old woman worked nearby, oblivious to the situation. Xiao Wu woke up on Xiao De's back, just in time to hear Tang San calling her brother a kidnapper. She was instantly ticked off. She jumped off Xiao De's back and charged at Tang San. Tang San was surprised, then thrilled. Xiao Wu's awake. Now's my chance to get her away from this kidnapper. He ran forward, ready to protect her. Don't worry, little sister, I'll protect you. But Xiao Wu punched him, then kept hitting him. You're the kidnapper. Your whole family's kidnappers. Bad guy, bullying my brother. Who are you calling, little sister? You deserve a beating. After a brutal pummeling, Tang San was bruised and swollen, completely stunned. Sis, stop. I get the message. Xiao De pulled Xiao Wu back. She seemed disappointed the fight was over. I'm letting you off for my brother's sake. Next time, you're getting it again. Seeing Tang San's sorry state, Xiao De dragged Xiao Wu away quickly. If Tang Hao showed up, they'd be in trouble. Luckily, Tang Hao was out of the village with Yin. Tang San watched them leave. The pain was nothing compared to the strange heartache he felt, like he'd lost something important. He clutched his chest, confused. Why? She feels so familiar, like she's someone important. Could she be from the Tang sex world, a junior sister I cared about? He'd time-traveled, so it was natural to assume someone so familiar might be from his past. He wasn't concerned about misunderstanding Xiao De. He'd wanted to keep Xiao Wu, to figure out why she stirred such feelings in him, but he was still young, his martial spirit hadn't awakened, he had no soul power, and his Shentian Kung Fu was just starting. He was no match for Xiao Wu, unable to stop them. I know we'll meet again. He had a strong feeling he'd see her again. Xiao De and Xiao Wu left Holy Soul Village fast, using their soul power to move quickly. You two are soul masters. A voice came from the side of the road. Xiao De pulled Xiao Wu closer, wary. It was a young man in his 20s. Relax. The man smiled. My name's Su Yuntao, from the Spirit Hall. I'm heading to Holy Soul Village to help the 6-year-olds awaken their spirits. You're both young to be soul masters, and from Holy Soul Village. Su Yuntao. Xiao De knew the name. We're just passing through. Don't know what Holy Soul Village is. Bye. Xiao De didn't elaborate, leaving with Xiao Wu. Cautious, Su Yuntao admired them. In this world, Caution was key to survival. He'd wanted to meet them, but decided against it. Continuing toward Holy Soul Village, Chao De and Xiao Wu arrived in Nodding City before dark. Let's hit up the Spirit Hall branch. Penniless, Chao De planned to exploit the Spirit Hall. With a soul ring, you could register at any branch and get a gold soul coin a month. It wasn't much for a soul master, but it could feed an ordinary person for a year. The Nodding City branch was still open, so they went in to register together. You just showed your soul ring and gave your name, age, origin, martial soul, soul power level, etc. Having a soul ring meant you were a soul master, which qualified you for a subsidy. The other requirements weren't strict, giving soul masters some freedom and privacy. Their first spirit rings a censure level. Chao De and Xiao Wu still got attention showing their soul rings. In a small place like Nodding City, most first spirit rings were white, less than 100 years old. Getting a Century Level 1 meant you were a genius. You've got talent. Keep working hard, and you could be powerful soul masters. That the old man in charge encouraged them. Thanks. Chao De and Xiao Wu took 2 gold soul coins and left. They found a hotel, ate, and rested. Brother, sleep with me. I'm scared alone. Xiao Wu looked pitiful. Don't be naughty. Chao De was happy to. He had to dote on his little wife, neither could sleep. Brother, where's your home? Far away. How far? Can I go back? What if I'm homesick? What about my family? Can't go back. Brother, don't be sad. I don't have a home. You're my family now. I'll always be with you. That's sweet. When you grow up, be my wife, okay? Brother, I'm a soul beast. Can a soul beast be with a human? It's okay. You'll become fully human when you mature. Then you can have kids. Really? Then I'll be your wife and have kids. You said it. Don't forget. No way. Tell me about your home. My home's far away, different from here. Xiao Wu fell asleep listening. Chao De covered her with the quilt and looked at the starry sky, unable to sleep. End of this chapter. Chapter 4 Fishing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Inside the martial soul capture space, unable to sleep, Chao De explored his martial soul space and realized he could enter it. Looking at the endless ocean and the realistic sky, Chao De wondered if his space was a miniature world. However, it only contained the sea and a small island, barely 10 square meters. White clouds dotted the sky, but there were no birds. The sea stretched deep without a single fish in sight. A fishing platform, to Chao De's surprise, a fishing platform, sized for 2 people, sat on the tiny island. Are there even fish in this ocean? A fishing platform must mean something. Excited, Chao De immediately exited the space, borrowed fishing gear from the hotel, and returned to his room. Ignoring Xiao Wu, who was asleep, he entered the martial soul space with the tackle. As he suspected, he could bring items in. He went to the platform, baited the hook, cast the line, and waited. What would he catch? Chao De was eager to find out. An hour passed, 3 hours, 5 hours, 9 hours. Chao De eventually drifted off to sleep. Outside, the world began to lighten. Suddenly, the fishing rod jerked. A bite. Half asleep, Chao De yanked the rod. It felt heavy. A big one. He strained and finally brought the hook to the surface. What the? A blue fish, weighing around 10 pounds, hung on the line, but as it emerged from the water, it transformed into a blue elixir. The wind carried its dandelion-like fragrance to Chao De. Is this for real? Did the fish become a pill, or was it always a pill? Chao De stared, dumbfounded. There were no instructions, no expiration date. Would it kill him if he swallowed it? He held the magical elixir, hesitant. He was so conflicted. As he wrestled with the decision, words appeared on a plain stone tablet on the platform. Congratulations on a successful catch. You have obtained a first-grade green soul pill. Increase your soul power by 1 level upon consumption. A pill that boosted soul power. That's awesome. Trusting in the system's quality, Chowda swallowed the Qing Hun pill after a moment of hesitation. It dissolved instantly, sending a surge of power through him. 10 seconds later, his soul power jumped from level 10 to level 11. Time to keep fishing. Having tasted success, Chowda was now greedy for more. 2 more hours passed, nothing. Instead, he heard Xiao Wu calling his name. Chowda summoned her directly into the marshal's soul space. "Brother, you're here. I thought you left me." Xiao Wu was on the verge of tears. She had grown deeply attached to Chowda in a single day and feared abandonment. "Hey, it's okay. How could I ditch you? You're my girl. I wouldn't lose you for the world. Besides, this space means you can't leave me either," Chowda reassured her. "Okay," Xiao Wu said obediently, "I was just being silly." "You'd never leave me." Chowda nodded, "Of course not." Xiao Wu calmed down and asked, "What are you doing here, anyway?" Chowda pointed to the platform. "Fishing. Want to try?" "Fishing?" Xiao Wu had never tried it. "I don't know how. I'll show you. See if you have any luck." "Okay, I'll give it a shot. Maybe we can have fish for dinner." Chowda guided Xiao Wu. An hour passed. "Why isn't anything happening? Am I just bad at this?" "Don't worry. I fished all night and only caught one. You gotta be patient." "Oh." Another hour, still nothing. Their stomachs rumbled. "I'll grab some food. You keep fishing. I'm starving." "Go ahead, maybe I'll catch something before you get back." Chowda left the marshal's soul space, bought food from the hotel, and picked up another fishing rod. Back in the space, Xiao Wu still hadn't caught anything. "Brother, are there even fish in this sea?" Xiao Wu's patience was wearing thin. "There are, trust me. Would I lie to you? Let's take a break and eat. I bought another rod, so we can fish together later." "Okay. Whatever you say." Chowda set up the platform for their meal. After dinner, they fished together. Hour after hour ticked by. From morning to afternoon, Xiao Wu was now sticking with Chowda, trying as hard as she could. Chowda's patience was also dwindling. "Got one." Xiao Wu's rod suddenly bent. "Reel it in." Xiao Wu pulled hard, bringing a red fish, weighing 2 or 3 pounds, to the surface. Would it turn into a pill? Chowda watched intently, but the red fish remained a fish. Words appeared on the stone tablet. "Congratulations on a successful catch. You have obtained a non-advanced red spirit fish. Delicious and will slightly enhance your bloodline power upon consumption." Bloodline power? Would that even be useful in this world? "Brother, I caught a fish. It's a good size. We can have it for dinner." Xiao Wu placed the fish in a bucket, happy to have finally caught something after a long day. They continued fishing for hours without luck. As darkness fell, they left with their catch. Chowda borrowed cooking tools from the hotel and grilled the fish. "That smells amazing. Brother, this is the best fish I've ever eaten." Xiao Wu devoured it. The red spirit fish tasted incredible, a true culinary masterpiece. However, aside from the great taste, neither of them felt any different after eating it. Slightly enhanced bloodline power must have been extremely slight, too insignificant to notice. For the next few days, Chowda and Xiao Wu fished in the space. Each person can only catch something good once a day. They concluded. They had been harvesting something every day, but it was all just seafood that didn't improve their abilities, but at least gave them delicious meals. Xiao Wu was hooked on the food and now enthusiastically fished every day. The Qing Hun pill that Chowda had caught first was still the best thing they'd found. Chowda guessed, "Maybe the quality of our catches depends on our strength. The stronger we get, the better the fish." Xiao Wu agreed, "That makes sense." Chowda said, "So, we need to fish while training. We can't neglect our progress." Xiao Wu said, "Whatever you say, brother." So, they spent their nights at the hotel and their days training and fishing in the martial soul space. They only stopped when they ran out of money after a month. Without the money for the hotel, they needed to find a way to make some. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. This Tang 3 is not normal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Tang San's acting weird. For over a month, Xiao De and Xiao Wu mostly trained inside the martial soul capture space. Xiao Wu could cultivate normally in there, meaning she wasn't isolated since it mimicked a human environment. Isolation would have slowed her progress significantly, maybe even halted it. Luckily, the capture space didn't create any barriers. Wow, your level's going up super fast. Xiao Wu exclaimed. During this time, Xiao De's soul power increased by 3 levels, while Xiao Wu's rose by 2. You're not exactly dragging your feet. Plus, you've gotten taller and, well, bigger. Xiao De glanced Xiao Wu up and down, noticing she'd grown noticeably taller and was starting to develop. Hee, I'm growing like a weed. You've gotten a little taller too, big brother. Xiao Wu wanted to grow up fast, ideally to be about Xiao De's height. Looks like all the fish and seafood we're catching on the fishing platform aren't just helping us level up, they're also boosting our growth. At this rate, Xiao Wu will be a full-grown adult in no time. Xiao De scooped Xiao Wu up, testing her weight. Yep, definitely growing up and packing on the pounds. People in the Douluo Continent age faster. Around 12 they're similar to 16 or 17 on Earth and already physically mature. With the help of the fishing platform's bounty, Xiao De and Xiao Wu's bodies would mature even faster. In a couple of years, they might hit 5'7", 5'11", with fully mature bodies. I wanna be as tall as you. Xiao Wu, wrapped in Xiao De's arms, hugged his neck, enjoying the feeling. Xiao De quickly set her down. Alright, Xiao Wu, we're broke. Time to hit up the spirit hall for our allowance. They hadn't received their monthly stipend. 2 gold soul coins would cover another month in the hotel, but Xiao De had a better idea. Once we get paid, we're ditching the hotel. We might as well buy a little place, somewhere we can live and train. A real home. An ordinary house in Notting City wasn't pricey. 2 gold soul coins could snag a small yard, enough for them. As for food, they could fish in the capture space daily and just buy some rice. Even after eating fish and seafood for a month, it never got old, it was delicious every time. Our home, Xiao Wu nodded. Yeah, a home for just you and me. When I grow up, I'll marry you, and we'll have tons of kids. It'll be so much fun. Xiao De chuckled. Yep, we'll have a whole litter of little bunnies. Xiao Wu shook her head. Wrong. Once I'm fully grown, I'll be completely human. I won't be giving birth to rabbits, but real kids. Xiao De countered. Even so, your soft bone rabbit bloodline won't disappear. Our kids will have your blood in them too. Xiao Wu asked, does that bother you? Xiao De replied, nope. I love it. Su Xian could marry the white snake, Tang Hao could have a kid with blue silver grass, Tang San could hook up with a rabbit, and Xiao De could too. Thinking about it, it wasn't just Xiao Wu. If he could, he'd turn the Snow Emperor, Ice Emperor, Silver Dragon King Gu Yuna, ZG, and other soul beasts into humans and give them a happy home. They were descendants of Mengda, after all, they couldn't let the family down. Xiao De wanted to right the wrongs he'd seen in the novels and anime. You're the best, big brother. Xiao Wu leaned in, stood on tiptoe, and kissed Xiao De's cheek. Even though she looked like a kid, she was still a soul beast with over 10,000 years of cultivation. She'd lived an incredibly long time. Thanks to her mother's teachings, she knew everything she needed to. Her soul was mature. A soul beast's cultivation time wasn't their age, it was the years they spent cultivating and improving. 1 year could equal decades or even centuries of growth. Xiao Wu's cultivation spanned 10,000 years, which meant she could have lived for hundreds. Some folks speculated that Xiao Wu might have had many litters when she was a rabbit, but those babies didn't live long and had since passed. That was possible, but unlikely. Even if it were true, Xiao De wouldn't mind. The human version of Xiao Wu was completely reborn. Like a new beginning, Xiao De also planned to give Bibi Dong, Tang Yuehua, and others a family. They had been with men before. Xiao De didn't care, let alone with Xiao Wu. As long as they only wanted Xiao De as a man, it would be enough. Mature women had a certain charm, young girls had a fresh appeal. Each had its own merits. they went to the local branch of the Spirit Hall in Notting City to collect their 2 gold soul coins and bought a small yard that day, which cost over a gold coin. The house was nice, with a kitchen, living room, bedroom, and garden. 1 bedroom was enough. Chowda and Xiao Wu had been sleeping together for over a month and didn't plan on stopping any time soon. They added some furniture. Finally, it felt like a real home. From now on, this is our place. Xiao Wu loved their new little home. Yep, this is our place. Chowda felt a sense of belonging. This was his first home in the Douluo Continent, and Xiao Wu was his first family. There would be more and more family members in the future. Right now, it was a small house, but eventually, it would be a home for everyone. It was small now, but it could be expanded later. I still need some tools. There's a blacksmith shop nearby. Let's check it out. Chowda took Xiao Wu's hand and walked out of the yard. He had noticed a blacksmith's shop on a nearby street where he could buy some tools. Tang San. Arriving at the blacksmith shop, Chowda spotted a familiar face. Tang San. It was indeed Tang San. Chowda remembered that, in the original story, Tang San studied at Notting College and worked in a blacksmith shop. He hadn't expected to run into him. It's him. What a small world. Xiao Wu bristled at the sight of Tang San. After Tang San falsely accused Chowda of being a human trafficker back in Holy Soul Village, she beat him up and threatened to make him regret it if they ever met again. She hadn't expected it to be so soon. It's them. I knew it. I knew I'd see her again. Seeing Xiao Wu, Tang San felt excited and happy. He had a feeling they'd meet again, and he was right. Chowda and Xiao Wu walked over. Tang San stepped out of the blacksmith's shop, a smile on his face as he looked at Xiao Wu. About last time, it was a misunderstanding. I apologize. Apologizing right off the bat, with a smile, it took Chowda and Xiao Wu by surprise. You don't punch a smiling face, especially if they've already apologized. If they tried to get even, it would make them look bad. Chowda replied, so, you admit you were wrong. Xiao Wu chimed in, I'm not impressed by your apology. Seeing Xiao Wu holding Chowda's hand, Tang San felt a pang of heartache but kept smiling. I truly regret it. No fight, no acquaintance. My name's Tang San. I'm studying at Notting College. And you? His eyes stayed fixed on Xiao Wu. Chowda stepped in front of Xiao Wu, thinking Tang San seemed particularly interested in her. Was it a secret crush? Or was God King Tang San reincarnated and sent back to find Xiao Wu, but with no memory of his past? Xiao Wu was with Chowda now. Whether Tang San was the reincarnation of a god or not, he wasn't getting her back. Xiao Wu scoffed at Tang San. Who cares about you? Let's go, big brother. Seeing him annoys me. Chowda and Xiao Wu left. Their brother and sister, Tang San thought. Tang San misinterpreted their relationship, but a voice in his head told him Xiao Wu was important, so he wouldn't give up on contacting her. He asked for leave from the blacksmith shop and followed them quietly. He eventually saw Chowda and Xiao Wu enter a courtyard and learned where they lived. He didn't go in but left, planning to find a chance to meet Xiao Wu alone in the future. Chapter 6 Voyeur Tang 3, When Xiao Wu Grows Up, She Can. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6, Tang San the Stalker. Xiao Wu's growing up. Tang San was lurking outside Chowda and Xiao Wu's little yard. Lately, he'd been drifting around their place, desperate to catch a glimpse of Xiao Wu. He hadn't seen her, so he caved and came to peep. He couldn't shake her from his mind. Not seeing her for a day felt like an eternity. A voice inside him kept saying Xiao Wu was incredibly important, that she was worth giving up everything for. Without seeing her, Tang San was restless, unable to focus on his training. Since Chowda and Xiao Wu bought their supplies, they mostly stayed in the spirit capture space practicing and fishing, only venturing out every few days for groceries. With school, Tang San couldn't manage to run into Xiao Wu. You'd think a guy who'd lived 2 lives, even if it only added up to 30 or 40 years, would be more mature. He was raised on the Tang sex rules, cautious in everything he did. He shouldn't be acting like such a lovesick fool, but after Xiao Wu, he'd become a total sap. He would do anything for her, wanting to see her every single day. Tang San couldn't explain it. Maybe the future god King Tang San was subconsciously searching for Xiao Wu, reliving the past but with amnesia. Perhaps one day his memories would return, or, maybe the god King Tang San's immense power was influencing his younger self, creating this powerful attachment to Xiao Wu. That was the only explanation. Man, that smells good. The tempting aroma of food drifted from the yard, making Tang San's stomach rumble. He hadn't eaten dinner yet. Purple demon eyes. Tang San had restarted his training with the purple demon eyes. They weren't strong yet, but he could make out blurry figures inside. Chowda and Xiao Wu were having seafood hot pot, using the seafood they'd caught to make a feast. This is amazing. Bro, your cooking skills are off the charts. Xiao Wu's face was covered in sauce, savoring the delicious seafood paired with Chowda's special seasoning. It was unbelievably good. Try this. Chowda picked up a piece of seafood, dipped it in the sauce, and fed it to Xiao Wu. The flavor's different, but it's still awesome. Here, bro, you try some. Xiao Wu returned the favor. They were feeding each other bite after bite. Through Tang San's purple demon eyes, he watched them sharing food. They're really close as siblings. As he watched, Tang San kept swallowing, tormented by the amazing smell. He spent over an hour in this agony. Wait. Then, the purple demon eyes saw the two figures go into the bedroom together and get into the same bed. Tang San was confused. Aren't they supposed to be brother and sister? What's going on? Is Xiao Wu just really attached to her brother? Yeah, that's it. She's still young, afraid of the dark. It's normal to be with her brother. He clung to this explanation because the alternative made him feel sick. After the candlelight in the room was snuffed out, Tang San reluctantly left. Half a year flew by. Tonight, Tang San found himself back outside the yard, peeping. For half a year, he hadn't gotten a chance to see Xiao Wu outside, so he had to resort to this, otherwise he'd feel awful. Where is everyone? Tonight the yard was empty. He used his purple demon eyes, but still couldn't find them. Tang San was worried. He visited every day for the next few days, but still no sign of Chowda and Xiao Wu. They're gone. Tang San slumped to the ground, a sinking feeling in his gut. After a long moment, he clenched his fists. Xiao Wu, when I'm older and stronger, I'll find you, I promise. Fueled by this belief, Tang San dedicated himself to training, finally able to find some focus. Meanwhile, Chowda and Xiao Wu had indeed left Nodding City, heading for Heaven Do City. Over the past 6 months, Chowda's soul power had reached level 22, and Xiao Wu's was at level 21. Xiao Wu had absorbed her second spirit ring, another 100-year ring close to 1,000 years old. 100-year spirit ring means it's between 100 and 1,000 years old. Because of Xiao Wu's second ring, Chowda's first ring had increased in age, now a purple ring close to 2,000 years, the combined age of Xiao Wu's rings. But since the spirit capture space wasn't bound to a second woman, Chowda didn't have a second ring yet. His soul power had reached level 22, but without the ring, it appeared to be only level 20. After he got his second ring, his true power level would be revealed. Chowda and Xiao Wu left Nodding City to find a second woman suitable for the Wuhuan captive space. The Douluo world was full of attractive supporting female characters, and Heaven Do City had most of them. Chowda was heading to Heaven Do City, where he could find Lu Erlong, Huo Wu, Yi Linglin, Ning Rongrong, Tang Yuehua, Shui Binger, Shui Yuer, Du Guyen, and more. He had plenty of options. Zhu Zhuqing was only 6 or 7 years old, and Dai Mubai was probably still stuck in the Star Luo Empire. They hadn't escaped yet. Going all the way to the Star Luo Empire for Zhu Zhuqing was too risky and time-consuming. When he needed the third and fourth women, he'd have to go back to Heaven Do City anyway, so it made more sense to wait and head there first. Chowda and Xiao Wu bought 2 horses and set off from Nodding City. They traveled along the main road for several days without incident. Giddy up, it was Xiao Wu's first time riding, and she found it exhilarating. She embraced her inner rabbit. A rabbit on horseback was pretty strange. She loved it. Xiao Wu was only 7 years old in human years, but she could already ride a horse. She was over 5 feet tall, almost 5 feet 3 inches, her figure developing quickly, almost like a girl from Earth. Thanks to eating fish and seafood every day, Xiao Wu's body was changing fast. Chowda was growing too, now over 5 feet 7 inches, almost 5 feet 11 inches, and probably done growing. Chowda suspected that the fish and seafood had hormones, but he hadn't noticed any side effects. Except for the rapid growth, that is, Chowda and Xiao Wu were happy with their current appearances. They looked like adults, so people wouldn't treat them like kids. Chowda was a time traveler, and Xiao Wu was a 100,000-year-old soul beast. They both had mature minds, so their bodies were finally catching up. They traveled by day and slept together in the Wuhuan capture space at night. They'd moved some things in and built a small wooden house on the island, where they slept together. It was much better than sleeping outdoors. And another thing, after Chowda and Xiao Wu reached level 20, they started fishing twice a day in the Wuhuan capture space instead of once. It seemed to be a rule. Every 10 levels of soul power probably increased the number of fishing times. They slept together every day, and as their bodies matured, the tension between them was growing. They were getting closer and closer to crossing a line, but they hadn't crossed it yet. Maybe one day it would just happen naturally. Chowda was worried about whether Xiao Wu could even get pregnant in her half-human form, and if she did, would she give birth to a rabbit? He decided he should probably hold back until Xiao Wu was fully mature. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Take Lu Erlong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Taking down Lu Erlong, Heaven Do Empire, Heaven Do City, Lanba Academy. After Chowda and Xiao Wu arrived in Tiando City, they found a place to stay and then headed to Lanba Academy to gather intel on Lu Erlong. Chowda decided to act today, disguising himself as a Lanba Academy student to sneak onto the grounds. He quickly located Lu Erlong's residence. Instead of living in the teacher's dorms, she had a secluded, private courtyard on the academy's outskirts. That's her. Chowda spotted Lu Erlong tending to her flowers in the yard. The Lu Erlong before him was only in her early 30s, maybe 6 or 7 years younger than when Tang San and the gang met her in the original timeline. She was in her prime, but unfortunately, she was wasting it on Yu Xiaojiang. Chowda was here to change that. Dean Lu Erlong. Chowda, using his soul capture space, called out from a distance. Hearing her name, Lu Erlong looked up, saw Chowda, and assumed he was a student. Student, can I help you? Before she could finish, Lu Erlong vanished. The conditions were met, and Lu Erlong was pulled into Chowda's soul capture space. Before Lu Erlong could even process what was happening, Chowda summoned her back to her original spot. The whole thing took less than a second. Lu Erlong felt a strange, fleeting disorientation, like a hallucination. She looked around again, finding nothing amiss. Weird. Maybe I'm just tired and seeing things. That person, that ocean, all just a figment of my imagination. Lu Erlong rubbed her head, chalking it up to exhaustion. She didn't dwell on it. Meanwhile, Chowda, already hidden, slipped away unnoticed after Lu Erlong went back inside. Mission accomplished. Lu Erlong became the second woman bound by Chowda's soul capture space. But Chowda wasn't about to rush things. He wanted to introduce the soul capture space to her gradually, making her believe it was an illusion for now. Showing his hand so abruptly wouldn't work. Lu Erlong wasn't as naive as Xiao Wu. He needed to wait for the right moment to connect with her. Chowda left Lanba Academy and returned to the rented place to meet Xiao Wu. Did it work, big brother? Xiao Wu sensed a surge in Chowda's soul power. Chowda explained his plan to use his soul capture space on Lu Erlong, and Xiao Wu was supportive. Not that she had much choice. Chowda's soul was unique. He needed to bind women to grow stronger. Since it was inevitable, Xiao Wu accepted it, mentally preparing herself for the possibility of Chowda developing relationships with the women he bound. Yep, it worked. Chowda beamed. Lu Erlong is a level 72, soul saint. Binding her has boosted my stats across the board. My soul power shot up by over 7 levels, hitting level 30. Plus, the combined lifespan of her 7 soul rings is over 9,000 years, which now applies to my second soul ring. 2 soul rings materialized around Chowda, one purple, the other black. Thanks to Xiao Wu, Chowda's first soul ring was already purple, clocking in at nearly 2,000 years. Now, with Lu Erlong's 7 soul rings. His second soul ring had a lifespan exceeding 9,000 years, due to the system and his unique soul. Xiao De's method of obtaining soul rings defied all conventions. The normal rules didn't apply. Being a chosen one definitely had its perks. The higher the soul power of the person he bound, the greater the benefit to Xiao De, and that wasn't all. In the future, the growth of Xiao Wu and Lu Erlong would also contribute to Xiao De's strength, including any new soul rings they obtained. Even Xiao Wu's initial soul rings had already given Xiao De a boost. Lu Erlong's influence not only increased his soul power but also amplified his spiritual power tenfold and his physical strength significantly. Congrats, big brother, that Xiao Wu was genuinely happy for him. Over 9,000 years. When Lu Erlong hits level 80 and gets her 8th soul ring, big brother will have a 10,000-year soul ring. I need to work hard too, so your first soul ring will reach 10,000 years even sooner. Xiao De wrapped his arms around Xiao Wu. With your talent and my help, we'll definitely reach Soul Emperor, or even Soul Sage, within 5 years. I hope that day comes soon. Xiao Wu hugged him back, whispering in his ear, Big brother, can I be your first woman? Okay, Xiao De promised. I'll marry you when you're of age. Sitting in Xiao De's lap, Xiao Wu asked, now that you're level 30, are you planning to bind a third woman? Do you have someone in mind? Xiao De shook his head. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, we'll enroll in Lamba Academy. Enrollment is in a few days, so we can sign up then. Xiao Wu trusted Xiao De's judgment, but she still had some concerns. They'll check our bone age. Now that I'm a great soul master, won't that raise suspicion? Don't worry about it. If we're in trouble, we can always hide in my soul capture space. No one can touch us. With that ace up his sleeve, unless he was instantly killed, Xiao De could always retreat into his soul capture space. No one could mess with him. Hee, I almost forgot about that. Xiao Wu exclaimed, we'll scare everyone stiff. They'll think we're monsters. Xiao De chuckled. We are monsters. Genius monsters. They can only be jealous and hate, but what can they do about it? Point 1, less than 9 years old, nearly 6 feet tall, and soul power at level 30, the other, under 7 years old, just over 5 feet, and soul power nearing level 22, everyone would see them as prodigies, the kind that appear only once in a millennium. 5 days later, the enrollment exams for Lamba Academy began. Anyone who met the requirements could apply and, if they passed, become a student. Lamba Academy was a civilian academy, and the requirements were much less stringent than those of Shrek Academy. Anyone with a soul power level above 15 before the age of 20, or a soul power level above 25 before the age of 30, could become a student. By the standards of advanced soul master academies, this was considered pretty easy. Even so, Lamba Academy only had a little over 100 students. There weren't many with outstanding talent, and less than half of them managed to graduate with a soul power level above 25 before the age of 35. Soul Master advanced colleges generally required students to pass level 25 before the age of 35 to graduate. Otherwise, they'd age out and have to leave. Xiao De and Xiao Wu were here to take the enrollment exam. Chapter 8 Unbelievable. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lamba Academy wasn't in downtown Tiando City. It was located in the outskirts. Today was enrollment day. They took in new students every year during a specific month, but only a few dozen. With only 300 plus students total, Lamba Academy only graduated a few dozen each year, so the new recruits just replaced them. There weren't many students, and the academy only recruited a few dozen each year for 2 main reasons. First, soul masters were rare in Douluo Continent, even fewer could get into an advanced academy. Second, training soul masters took serious resources, so each academy had a limited capacity. The fact that Lamba Academy had over 300 students meant it was a pretty decent-sized advanced academy. Because it was enrollment day, staff were outside the gate to greet people and show them around. Wow, this place is way bigger than Nodding Academy. Xiao Wu exclaimed, comparing Lamba to her old school. Even though she hadn't studied at Nodding Academy, she'd hung around there when she lived in Nodding City. Nodding Academy is just a low-level school in a small town. This is a high-level academy, so of course it's different. Come on, that building up ahead is where we register. Looks like some people are already there. Chao grabbed Xiao Wu's hand and led her forward. Enrollment happened in a special building with 3 floors. The lobby was on the first floor, where they had 2 registration tables, one on the left and one on the right. Get your bone age checked here, then head to the second floor for the next test if you pass. Inside the lobby, you registered first, then got your bone age checked. Dozens of people were already there, students signing up, plus family and friends. Chao De, from Nodding City. Xiao Wu, from Nodding City. For registration, you only needed to give your name and hometown. Bone age and soul power level would be recorded later if you passed the tests. Bone age, 19. Pass. Bone age, over 20. No. A special teacher checked bone age, so bone age was roughly the same as actual age. Even though Lamba Academy published its requirements, some people tried their luck. But without connections, if you didn't meet the requirements, you were out of luck. That the teacher checking Chao De's bone age frowned. It wasn't that Chao De was 9 years old, it was that he was tall and muscular for his age, looking more like 15 or 16. People grew fast on Douluo Continent. 11 or 12 was like 16 or 17 on Earth. But a 9-year-old looking 16 or 17, and standing almost 6 feet tall, was really rare. Thinking he might have made a mistake, the teacher checked again, but the result was the same. He gave Chao De a strange look but didn't say anything. Bone age checks out. Pass. Head up to the second floor for the soul power test. Because Chao De's bone age and appearance were so unusual, the teacher didn't announce his age. He was curious, but it wasn't important to soul masters. Next was Xiao Wu. The teacher was surprised again. Xiao Wu was 7, but looked like she was 12 or 13 and stood over 5 feet tall. The teacher glanced back at Chao De, who hadn't left yet, then back at Xiao Wu. He couldn't believe he'd seen 2 people in a row whose bone age and height didn't match up. Really weird. Bone age checks. The teacher didn't reveal Xiao Wu's age publicly or ask any questions. I thought they'd announce my age and cause a scene. I didn't think the teacher would just stay quiet, Xiao Wu whispered to Chao De. He's either discreet or doesn't care much, as long as you meet the requirements. Let's head to the second floor. They went upstairs. The second floor had offices, and they tested soul power in one of them. A dozen or so people were waiting in line in the hallway. Someone came out, someone went in. To keep things quiet, they tested soul power one by one. Some people came out beaming, others looked bummed. Next. After waiting a while, it was finally Chao De's turn. He went inside. 2 teachers were there, one to test and one to record. A blue crystal ball sat in the middle of the room. Put your hand on the crystal ball and pour your soul power into it, the teacher instructed. Chao De didn't hold back, pouring in all his soul power. The crystal ball changed with the flow of soul power, showing its level. The teachers didn't react when the crystal ball showed 10 levels, but they started to look pleased when it passed 20. Since Chao De looked 16 or 17, a soul power level around 25 was good. Over 30 was excellent. Of course, that was Lamba Academy's standard, not Shrek Academy's. Level 30. Excellent. You passed the soul power test. Congrats, you're now a Lamba Academy student. That the soul power reached level 30, and the teachers were thrilled. They hadn't seen Chao De's bone age on the registration form, but as long as it met the enrollment requirement, even if he was close to 20, he was still eligible. When the teacher went to record Chao De's soul power level, he stared in disbelief. What's wrong? The other teacher asked. The first teacher pointed at Chao De's registration form, looked up at Chao De in shock, and asked, "You're only 9 years old?" That he wondered if the bone age checker had made a mistake, but that seemed unlikely. 9 years old, that the other teacher was surprised. He glanced at Chao De's form, saw 9 years old in the bone age column, and looked back at Chao De in shock. Chao De said calmly, "I just grew fast. My bone age is definitely 9. Grew fast, only 9 years old. 9-year-old bone age, wait, your soul power is level 30. 9 years old, level 30, this. The teachers were stunned, a freak. 9-year-old bone age, level 30 soul power. Come here and take a look. Unbelievable, the teachers decided to carefully retest Chowda's bone age and soul power, just to be sure, if they weren't mistaken. They didn't even want to imagine, at 9, almost a soul master. Who would believe it? Chowda cooperated fully. Bone age is correct. Soul power is correct. 9 years old, level 30. This. We need to tell the dean, that the teachers were excited. This was big news, and they alerted Dean Lu Erlong. Chapter 9. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hold up a sec. Just as the teacher was heading to the dean's office to report Chowda, Chowda spoke up. Chowda, right? You're good. Your situation's pretty unique. Hang on a moment, okay, that the teacher was being super polite to Chowda. He was clearly something special and deserved to be treated that way. Actually, the next person waiting for the test is my sister, Xiao Wu. She's in a similar boat to me. Could she go next? Chowda was just trying to avoid any surprises down the road regarding Xiao Wu. Your sister. Another sister who's similar to you. She signed up too. The two teachers exchanged surprised glances. Yep. Chowda explained, my sister, Xiao Wu, is 7 years old, has a soul power level of 22, and she's a little shorter than I am. Whoa. 7 years old and a soul power level of 22. What was with these siblings? Okay, send your sister in for the test right away. The two teachers were stoked. They'd stumbled upon two prodigies at once. Chowda stayed put while Xiao Wu was called in. Big brother. Xiao Wu looked puzzled as she walked in. She hadn't seen Chowda leave, but she'd been called in. Something was off. Xiao Wu, the teacher wants to test you first. Chowda gave Xiao Wu a reassuring look. Xiao Wu nodded and turned her attention to the two teachers. Xiao Wu, come on over. Let's take a look at your registration form and then we'll get you tested. The teacher greeted her with enthusiasm. He grabbed the registration form and saw that she was indeed registered as 7 years old, but Xiao Wu looked like she was 12 or 13, just like Chowda. He wondered what they were eating to grow so fast. Yep, 7 years old it is. Let's test your soul power. Level 22. This is unbelievable. A once-in-a-lifetime genius. The two teachers' eyes practically burned holes into Chowda and Xiao Wu. Chowda, Xiao Wu, come with me. I'm taking you straight to the dean. Your situation is way too special for me to handle. The teacher changed his mind. He needed to get the dean involved ASAP. These kinds of geniuses needed to be dealt with at the highest level. One teacher left with Chowda and Xiao Wu, while the other stayed behind to keep testing. They followed the teacher out of the registration building. My name's He-Fong. I teach at Lanba Academy. You can call me Mr. He, and you'll probably be in my classes. Did your parents come with you? Don't worry, our dean is super reasonable. With your talents, she'll definitely see your potential. The dean, even the entire academy, will go all out to train you. He-Fong kept chattering away. Even though Chowda and Xiao Wu were quiet, he didn't stop talking. Dean Lu Erlong lived in a quiet corner of the college, spending her days reading and gardening, a peaceful, elegant life. Dean, that He-Fong arrived with Chowda and Xiao Wu just as Lu Erlong was reading in the yard. Mr. He, aren't you supposed to be recruiting students? What brings you here? Lu Erlong looked up, noticing Chowda and Xiao Wu. She figured He-Fong was trying to pull some strings. He-Fong beamed. Dean, I've brought you two geniuses, once-in-a-millennium geniuses. And their siblings. Then he introduced them, Chowda, Xiao Wu, this is the Dean of Lanba Academy. Here we go again. Dean, Chowda and Xiao Wu said. Geniuses. Lu Erlong looked at Chowda and felt a strange sense of kinship with him. He-Fong grinned. Dean, they're the real deal. Chowda might look like he's 10 years old, but he's only 9. And Xiao Wu's 7. But get this, Chowda's soul power is level 30, and Xiao Wu's is 22. that he paused, seeing the shock on Lu Erlong's face. Lu Erlong thought she'd misheard. 9 and 7. Level 30 and 22, that he foam confirmed. You can check yourself, Dean. Lu Erlong glanced at Xiao De and Xiao Wu, and said, "You're Xiao Wu." Lu Erlong walked over to Xiao Wu with a friendly smile. "Can you allow me to see your bone age and soul power?" Xiao Wu glanced at Xiao De, saw Xiao De nodded before responding, "Yes." Lu Erlong began to check. 7 years old, soul power level 22. Double-checked, same result. Lu Erlong was floored. It's true, that he phone could relate to Lu Erlong's reaction. "Dean, it's unreal. 7 years old, soul power level 22, never seen anything like it. Kids usually awaken their soul at age 6, so she had had less than a year and she was already a level 22. Incredible. Unheard of." Lu Erlong was stunned, Xiao De was calm, and Xiao Wu just cheerful. Afterwards, Lu Erlong checked Xiao De, and it was as he phone had said, 9 years old, level 30. Lu Erlong stared at Xiao De and Xiao Wu. They were monsters. If word got out, everyone would be fighting to get their hands on them. Lu Erlong turned to Hifeng. "Who else knows about them?" That Hifeng knew this was critical. "Teacher Wen registered their bone age, but he hasn't told anyone. Teacher Wu and I tested their soul power. So only the 2 teachers and Lu Erlong knew the truth." Lu Erlong thought for a moment, "Nobody else can know about this. We need to change their registration info. Make Xiao De's bone age 12, and Xiao Wu's 15. Leave the soul power levels as they are. Secrecy was key." Hifeng nodded, "Got it." He knew the stakes. Otherwise, he wouldn't have brought Xiao De and Xiao Wu to the Dean. Lu Erlong would reward him later, no doubt. Then she kept Xiao De and Xiao Wu with her, and Hifeng went back to recruiting. "Xiao De, Xiao Wu, would you like to become my students?" Lu Erlong valued talent and wanted to take them as disciples. "We would." "Xiao De, Xiao Wu, meet your teacher." Xiao De and Xiao Wu didn't hesitate. "Okay." Lu Erlong was thrilled. She hadn't felt this happy in years. Then Lu Erlong asked about their family. Hearing that they were orphans, Lu Erlong was saddened. "From now on, this is your home." Chapter 10. What a monster. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Soft bone rabbit Wuhuan, she's got 2 spirit rings, both century-old. Not bad at all. Her first soul skill, waist bow, is the offensive type, and charm is her second. Excellent skills. Lu Erlong was checking out Xiao Wu's Wuhuan, spirit rings, and skills. "Xiao De, you're up." Lu Erlong still had no idea what Xiao De's Wuhuan, spirit rings, or skills were. Xiao De said, "Teacher, my spirit rings are different." Lu Erlong smiled. "You're 9 years old and already level 30. That's special enough." "What could be more special?" Xiao Wu grinned. "Teacher, try not to freak out." "Oh." Lu Erlong's curiosity was piqued. "Spill it. Let's see if you can scare me." Xiao De said, "My spirit is unique. It's not a beast or a weapon type. It's a space spirit, invisible and untouchable." A space type Wuhuan. Lu Erlong had never heard of such a thing. When Xiao De activated his Wuhuan, she only felt a ripple in the air around him. She couldn't see or touch anything. A space Wuhuan? Wow. I had no idea something like that existed. Lu Erlong was stunned. She couldn't see or sense Xiao De's Wuhuan at all. Then, Xiao De released his spirit rings, 2 of them. One purple, one black. This. Lu Erlong gasped, blinking rapidly, unable to believe her eyes. No way. His first spirit ring was 1,000-year purple, and his second was a 10,000-year black. Impossible. And yet, there it was, right in front of her. Lu Erlong was gobsmacked, completely speechless. "Teacher, are you okay?" Xiao Wu was loving Lu Erlong's reaction. "I'm fine." Lu Erlong snapped back to reality, staring at Xiao De like he was some kind of freak. "You are a monster." She finally choked out. In Lu Erlong's mind, Xiao De and Xiao Wu were on another level. Their growth was off the charts, and their spirit ring configurations were mind-blowing. Xiao De jumped in to explain, "Teacher, maybe Xiao Wu's body and my blood are just different. We're not like regular people. Plus, we don't get our spirit rings by hunting spirit beasts. We can manifest them ourselves at a certain point." He figured he'd better head off any problems now, so their spirit rings wouldn't cause unnecessary drama later on. He had his capture space. He could duck in there anytime, so Xiao De wasn't too worried about revealing a few secrets. "You manifest your spirit rings?" Instead of hunting beasts, Lu Erlong had been wondering. She knew Xiao De and Xiao Wu didn't have families. So how did they get their spirit rings? Especially Xiao De, with a 1,000-year ring, no way he could have hunted that down himself. She'd assumed they had powerful backers, but they were saying they did it all themselves. Amazing. Xiao De and Xiao Wu were just blowing her mind, exceeding everything she thought was possible. Xiao Wu nodded. "My brother and I can manifest them on our own. No hunting needed." Xiao Wu was relieved that Xiao De had taken the lead on this. It would save them a ton of explaining later. "You too?" Lu Erlong couldn't even describe what Xiao De and Xiao Wu were. "You're special cases. Listen, you can't go around telling people this stuff. You never know who you can trust." Xiao De understood perfectly. "We know. It's just, you're our teacher. We figured you must be one of the good guys. We trust you." Lu Erlong was touched. "Don't worry. I'll look out for you." After that, Lu Erlong wanted to know about Xiao De's soul skills. Even though Xiao De was level 30, he only had 2 spirit rings, meaning 2 soul skills. The first was called Space Thrust. A 1,000-year soul ring skill, single target, close combat. He compressed space around his fist, then released it on impact, creating a powerful blast. The second was Oxygen Deprivation. 10,000-year soul ring skill. This skill allowed him to suck the oxygen out of a specific area, making it thin or even non-existent. It also messed with the air pressure. Of course, if the target moved out of range, the effect stopped, but if he cut off the oxygen for a short time, the target would have trouble breathing and could even pass out or die if they couldn't escape. It was a nasty surprise if you didn't know what was coming. A space Wuhuan and space-based soul skills. Seriously unique. Lu Erlong couldn't wait to see how far Xiao De could go. Actually, oxygen deprivation was just manipulating oxygen within a localized area. Xiao De wasn't even sure if it counted as a space ability, but it was related since it messed with the space around the oxygen. Compared to Xiao De, Xiao Wu was less impressive. Her Wuhuan and spirit rings were relatively normal. Still, a 7-year-old with level 22 soul power and the ability to manifest her own spirit rings. Lu Erlong figured no one except Xiao De could match Xiao Wu's talent. "After enrollment is over, you'll attend the regular college courses. If you have questions, ask me anytime." Lu Erlong urged, "You're special, gifted, but don't get complacent. Focus on your studies, practice hard, and you'll have a bright future." And just like that, Xiao De and Xiao Wu joined Lanba Academy and became Dean Lu Erlong students. A few days later, Lanba Academy's enrollment closed. They had 45 new students this year, divided into 3 classes of 15. The division was mainly based on soul power levels. Xiao De and Xiao Wu were in a class of 15, all above level 20. Ages ranged from 12 to 20, their teacher was Yifeng. "Welcome to Lanba Academy. You're beginning a new journey of learning and cultivation. There are 15 of you in this class, and 1 student has level 30 soul power. The rest of you are lower. Level 30. Who was it?" The students looked around at each other. Yifeng didn't call any names, leaving it for them to guess. He continued, "For the next year, you'll focus on cultivation knowledge. We'll also have other courses, sparring matches, training in the mimic training ground, and maybe even some field trips." Officially recognized high-level Soul Master Academies had their own mimic training grounds. These simulated environments helped soul masters improve their combat skills and were invaluable for training. Building one cost a fortune, which was why Shrek Academy didn't have one. Lanba Academy was an officially recognized advanced academy, and Lu Erlong had the backing of the Blue Lightning Overlord Dragon sect, so money wasn't an issue. The students at Lanba Academy were mostly ordinary folks, though. It was designed to be an advanced ordinary soul master academy. Most other high-level academies were packed with rich kids. Due to special circumstances, Xiao De and Xiao Wu were assigned to the same dorm room. Sure, they were siblings, but they weren't blood-related, as Lu Erlong knew, and so, their new life at Lanba Academy began.